Life is full of firsts, and some are good, like the first time you taste ice cream, or hear a song on the radio that's now your favorite. Some are bad, like the first time you stub your toe, or get a rejection letter for your dream job. And some firsts change our lives forever, like the first moment you lay eyes on the love of your life. Golf, much like life, is full of these moments. I still remember the first time I made solid contact with the golf ball, watching it soar effortlessly into the distance, or the first time I managed to stick a 7-iron to just a few feet from the pin. I also remember just as vividly the first time I got stuck in a bunker, hacking away for what felt like an eternity before finally escaping, or feeling like I finally had my golf swing figured out, only to get to the course and not be able to break 100. But the moment I knew golf would always be a part of my life came during an early morning round I snuck in before work about 10 years ago. The air smelled of freshly cut grass, the dew still clung to the greens, and the birds filled their silence with the morning song. The world was still waking up, but I was already on the course being a part of a game I was developing a love for. Now, I didn't play a record-breaking round, no hole-in-ones or 350-yard drives. What I do remember, though, was somewhere around the 7th or 8th hole, taking a pause and just soaking it all in and thinking to myself, man, I could play this game forever. Sure, golf is just a game, but it's a game I'm passionate about, and if there's one thing the world could use more of, it's passion. This is For the Record.
Golf, the hardest game we love to play. These are the ramblings of three nerdy golfers. Our continuing mission: explore strange new swing techniques to seek out lower handicaps and awesome golf courses, and to boldly swing where a safe layup would have been the smarter choice.
Welcome back to For the Record. We're so glad you joined us for today's episode. Episode number 6 already. Can't believe it. And it's an extra special episode because we have our first guest on the show. Woohoo! Yeah. So I invited one of my old buddies, Parker, to join us for the episode today. Say hi, Parker.
Hey, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, the reason that we invited him is he occasionally comes golfing with John Paul and Eric and I, and we try to get him to come out more with us, but he lives significantly far away, so it doesn't happen very often. But we're really happy that he could join us tonight because we've had many golf antics that he's been a part of with us, and we feel that he has some things that he can contribute. All right, so since we have Parker on the show today joining us, we figured it's time for a special Do You Remember When? Because nobody tells a story about a time when everything went okay. And we have a number of stories of golfing over the years with some of our crazy antics. And one of the stories that I wanted to share today that I knew we couldn't tell in its proper form without Parker being present was a time that I went swimming.
This is one of the best golf stories in human history.
I'm going to tell a little bit from my perspective, and John Paul and Parker, feel free to chime in. Unfortunately, Eric wasn't golfing with us at this time, so he wasn't there. But he gets to hear, I'm sure he's heard this many times already, but it is not my finest hour. So this was a time when Parker and I and John Paul did not get to go golfing very often. We're talking a very small handful of times in a year. So when everything aligned that we could go golfing, we were not missing it. And we had planned a time to go and play 18 holes at not our local course now, but at another course in the valley. And we looked ahead at the weather, and it was just going to be rainy the entire time.
Yeah.
And there was text back and forth all of that morning when it came to it said, hey, are we still playing? Are we going to go? Should we cancel? And I was of the opinion, it's like, we don't get to do this very often. I want to go. And Parker was trying to convince me not to a little bit. He's just like, I'll do it, man, but we're going to be cold. And I think, John Paul, you're just like, I'll do whatever.
Yeah, and again, this is a manifestation of the well-documented optimism I have about weather on the golf course, in that I always assume that the weather's going to get better and that there'll be a hole in the clouds that's long enough to squeeze 9 holes in.
That did not happen.
That did not happen.
It rained literally the entire time, and which is really odd for Utah. Like, we get rain and it'll hit heavy for a bit and then just stop.
Yeah, I think the golf gods were trying to send us a message like, do not golf today.
Yeah.
Today is not the day. They were trying to warn you from the thing that was about to happen.
We ignored the advice. And like when we got to the pro shop, there was nobody there.
Well, and the funniest thing was that every hole, it seemed like the rain kept getting worse. And every hole, you and I said the same thing. We were like, no, it'll clear up in like 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, it's going to clear up.
And I'm trying to remember the hole, but it was probably like 7th or 8th hole. And we're just drenched at this point. Had a rain layer on, did not mean a thing because it was just soaked through to the bone of all of our clothes. And we were hitting on a par 3 over water. And
every hole was over water at that point.
Okay, fair enough.
Into water, over water, underwater.
Through.
Parker and John Paul hit their shots on this par 3, and I was last. And so I stepped up with my 7-iron, and I went to swing, and my grip was just so wet from the rain that my club just completely slipped out of my hand. And instead of, my ball having this beautiful flight and penetrating the green and rolling back softly towards the hill, my golf club went flying into the middle of the lake.
It was a glorious arc. It flipped several times in the air. You know those moments in time where everything slows down? It was beautiful.
Like that time you hit my watch.
Yeah. Sploosh.
It was incredible. I was watching from behind, waiting for that ball to go sailing, just plop right there on the green. Instead, there was a strange glimmer that I had not seen before, and it was Cody's club slowly turning end over end as it approached the water and, right in the middle of the lake.
And I don't mean like the edge of the lake or close to. It was the dead center of that stupid lake.
It was fantastic.
And that lake was probably 150 feet across.
Yeah. Had Cody gotten angry and tried to throw his club into the middle of the lake, he couldn't have thrown it as far as what happened when it slipped out of his hand.
I don't think so.
Man.
But Go ahead.
I wish we had shot tracer technology back then. That would have been the coolest shot tracer ever.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. So what happened next, though, is really what makes the story special, because I was a poor man and, my golf clubs were near and dear to me. So I'm not a guy that can say, oh, well, that sucks. I'll just go and buy a new, 7-iron and get a replacement for my set. I looked at that as if I had thrown away my firstborn. And I stood on the edge of that water for probably 10 minutes contemplating what to do.
Yeah, and it was okay to take that time to think because there was no one out on the course with us. We were the only ones foolish enough to be out in that torrential downpour. No one was there. We had the time to think it through.
It was so bad that the marshal came to laugh at us because we were still out there.
Yeah. So,
he just wanted to go home for the day. He's like, you idiots are the reason I still have to work today.
I didn't know what to do. And so as I'm standing there, I just decide I have to at least take a look. And I start taking off my shoes. And Parker and John Paul look at me like, you are the most insane man in the entire world.
Oh, no, this is fantastic because I looked at you and I was like, what are you doing? And you looked back at me. I will never forget this to the end of my days. You looked back at me and you were like, what? Am I going to get wet? We were literally soaked to the bone. We were so wet already.
We could have gotten wetter.
Fair point. There's no getting wetter at this stage.
It didn't matter. So I start wading through the water, and it's murky, and it's raining, and it's cold, but I can feel the bottom of that lake.
Yeah, your
the little pond.
Yeah, your head is just above water, and your feet are dancing in the mud trying to probe for your club.
It's true. I was feeling for probably, I don't know how long it was. I just remember looking over and seeing Parker and John Paul talking to each other. And then I see them pulling out their cell phones and taking pictures of me when I'm in the water looking for my club.
That's how helpful I am as I took video.
Well, and I couldn't find it, and I was about to call it quits when the most amazing thing happened. I look over to the side, and Parker is taking off his shoes.
Yes.
And he came out into the water with me like a true friend, unlike someone else in this room wearing a pink flamingo shirt.
I am going to find the video. I've got to dredge up the video and stick it on our socials. But I have a video of you and Parker in the lake, and you're probing around, and your head is the only thing sticking above the water. And about 15 feet away, there are some ducks that are foraging for food. And I was like, quack, Cody, quack. You mesh in with the ducks. Keep quacking.
Well, I was about to give up hope, and I just felt something with my foot, and I, club shaped. I thought maybe it was a reed, maybe it was a golf club. I don't know. And I flicked it up with my foot, and it was my 7-iron. I got that stupid thing out of the water and took it out, and still froze to death. And I remember getting back, you're like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, you can buy replacement 7-irons.
That's not the best thing about this story. The best thing about this story is that you and Parker get out of the water. You stick your shoes back on, and all three of us looked at each other. It is dumping rain, and we're on the 7th hole, and we finished the round.
We were just like, well, let's keep going.
We couldn't get any wetter. I mean, we definitely smelled worse than before we had gotten in the lake. I was amazed when you found that club. It was like Rocky music. Just when I turned around and looked, and then I just see this club fly up in your hand, just glimmering. There wasn't sunlight, but it was still glimmering and just
like
water dripping off of this club.
With an Excalibur.
It was an amazing moment. Yep. When I saw you out in the water, I had just a pang of guilt that I was not out there helping you search for it. And I knew that these clubs were important to you. We really enjoy golfing. I don't have a good enough relationship with any of my golf clubs to go into the water, even if it was 5 feet away off the shore. I don't care. I don't care about my clubs that much because I'm terrible.
Well, thank you for being a true friend. And I know that if Eric was there with us, he would have gone in there with me too. No, actually, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
What are you talking about? I sacrificed. I pushed John Paul's trolley.
Would you have swam in the middle of the lake with me?
Yeah.
Actually,
then you were awesome. John Paul is
Eric
the one
would have stayed in the car because he's a sane person.
You know I'm a swimmer. I don't care about
Actually, that's true.
He's
You
a
would have all
swimmer.
been all in. It's just you, John
It's
Paul.
just me, once again demonstrating that I am dead inside.
Birdie Bev, time for another Birdie Bev.
It is time for another Birdie Bev segment, and since we have a special guest with Parker here today, we're going to try this one out together, and we're going to invite him to partake with us. He is doing some kind of sugar fast. And
This is true. Yeah, I am trying to avoid unnecessary sugars until Labor Day. So 1 whole year, I've been doing a pretty good job. Haven't gotten smacked upside the face by the wife yet, so I think I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent. Well, we have a not promising option in front of us, but perhaps it will surprise us. We are drinking Nixie Zero Sugar Soda Root Beer today. It claims to be organic. It has 0 grams of sugar and 0 carbs, so very diabetic friendly and also good for those who are doing a sugar fast.
Organic is one of those weird words I feel because normally like in produce, I'm fine with organic produce, and oftentimes people seek that out. Organic is not a word I would use on my sodas.
No.
I have to say that I'm always frustrated when I see organic on food because I'm a sci-fi nerd. The only thing that human beings can put into their bodies that's not technically organic is salt. Everything else on some level is a carbon chain, making it organic in nature. It's very frustrating to me, but I don't know.
No, I totally get it. So, being a sci-fi guy, when I see the word Nixie, I'm kind of getting some reminiscing of Soylent Green. So my dog's name was Nixie when I was growing up as a kid. So I'm a little bit conflicted about drinking this. We'll see how it tastes. Probably terrible. If it tastes like a dog, I'm spitting it out.
Soylent Green is made of dogs.
And
I mean people.
To your point, John Paul, the last ingredient on the can is Himalayan pink salt.
Oh.
Really?
Organic That's a mineral. That's not organic.
At least it smells like root beer.
It does have a pleasant smell.
A sweet smell, if you will.
And it's
very bubbly.
And its fizziness
Yeah,
is
it's very-
refreshing on my nostrils.
Very
Salud.
fizzy.
Okay, now we make the chink with the glasses. Salud.
Whoa.
That's a taste.
Yeah, that was not what I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that.
My initial thought looking at the can was, oh no, it's going to be another Olipop. I think it's significantly better than the Olipop.
I agreed. I think it's better than the Olipop. That doesn't make it good.
It doesn't.
It is brown and it is carbonated. It's got that going for it.
Man, there's some sub flavor going on here that's just
Bad.
yeah. Maybe it's the Himalayan
it's
pink
the dog.
salt.
I think the new term that we need to just bring in every rating is the offensive scale. How offensive is this root beer?
I'm going to say it's mildly offensive.
It's mildly offensive.
Mildly offensive. It's not an out of control Karen by any means, but mildly offensive.
Yeah, you don't want it to stick around super often, but you're not going to be besties either.
I just watched Eric's face as he took a big gulp. That was a good face.
I've been trying to get it all over my tongue, taste it from different. It's bad. I don't like it at all. It's pretty offensive in my opinion.
Here, give me another hit.
I would go so far as to say I like this less than Olipop.
Really?
Wow, that's a strong take.
I'm going to give it 1 star because it shares a name with my childhood Labrador.
I need to see what I rated the Olipop because I do think it was better than the Olipop, but like you said, John Paul, that doesn't mean much.
No.
I would give this a 1 because under no circumstances would I buy this. I mean, other than to taste test it, but if I saw this in the store at this point, I will know. Do not buy that for any person for any reason.
Not any person that you like.
I wouldn't even give it to somebody I don't like, to be honest.
You wouldn't wish this on your enemies.
I mean,
wow.
It's offensive enough. They just throw it away. It would just be annoying. It's not worth it.
I'm gonna give it. I've looked at our scores, and I across the board tend to rate things a little bit higher than you guys, and it's probably about a 4 for me. I didn't spit it out, and I had a second cup, and I'm okay with that.
Wow.
It's a 4 for me.
I think I'm going to go 3.5. I could drink it, but I wouldn't want to.
That's a good way to put it. All right, Eric, let's hit us.
I already said 1.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I
Okay.
don't like it.
Slow.
Wow.
Now that you know it's a 1 to 10 scale.
Now that I know. I would give it a solid 3.
Okay.
I don't know if there's much lower than that.
And this is on the diet root beer scale, by the way, right? Because we have a diet root beer scale and a normal root beer scale because normal root beers should taste better than diet. And I got to tell you, the zero sugar mug and the zero sugar A&W,
Way better.
way better.
Way better.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed.
Different league.
Okay, this is a scorecard of note. I got to play around with my brothers. It was my brother Dave's birthday. My brothers love golf. They are terrible golfers, and we went to our home course, the friendly home course. Took them there. They'd never been there before. And as is always the case, because my brothers are not great golfers, I offered that we could play a scramble. I offered that we could play forward tees. And they declined all of those offers, stroke play, regular tees. And so we played a modified Stableford, and I absolutely destroyed them. That was always going to happen, but what was surprising is the fantastic round that happened afterwards. So you guys ready for this?
Let's hear it.
Quick recap. Here you go. You can visualize the holes as I go through. I'll go through very quickly.
Give us a par and then your score.
You ready? Here we go. So, We started on hole 10 on the back nine, pumped one out of bounds right off the bat, and bogeyed that hole. So it was not a great start. But then from there on the 11th, par, 12th, par, 13th, bogey, 14th, bogey, 15th, par, 16th, par, 17th, par, 18th, double bogey. So not the greatest finish on the first 9 holes, but went out in a 41, which is very, very respectable for me. And then started off at the first hole for the back 9 and went birdie on the par 5, first birdie of the day, par, and then got on the bogey train. Bogey, 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 par, bogey, and finished with a par on the par 3 to go out in 40. So I went 41-40 for an 81, which is my lowest recorded 18-hole round of my life.
I'm going to give you some golfer's applause for that. Good job. And then I'm going to follow up with a question for you. Mm-hmm. What did you score today?
Oh, yeah. 51. 51 on 9 holes. 10 shots worse on the same 9 holes. I will tell you, though, very quickly, the new driver is a weapon.
Which we need to have a little come to seriousness moment, a little come to Jesus moment, if you will. We need to have a serious talk. On 17 today, when your driver let you down, you mistreated your driver.
I did.
I don't think your driver let him down.
It didn't.
My arm let me down.
Yeah,
the driver
it had
had
nothing to do with it.
That's fair. You took it out on your brand new driver in a very disrespectful way.
It was disrespectful, but it wasn't dangerous. I won't call it a throw. I'll call it a gentle toss into the soft grass.
It was made with wood, so I placed it in the wood with it.
So it could be
You threw it. There is no two ways about it. You tossed it.
It was a toss. It was not a throw.
It went further.
It.
Overhand or
how tall are
underhand?
you?
I'm 6 feet tall.
It went further than 6 feet.
It did.
That's not a toss. That's a throw.
It depends. Is it overhand or underhand?
It was 2 hands underhand.
2 hands.
It was
Okay.
very gentle. It was very gentle.
It was not.
And I did apologize to it as I picked it up. I picked it up. I pat it gently on the head. I said, "This is not your fault." And I put it back in my
all
bag.
seriousness, no, real good job on the round. Like that's scoring in that range is something that we strive to do every single round.
Yes. Now, I will point out that Cody sent me a very dejected text later that week because he checked my handicap before I had a chance to check it. And when I put this round into my GIN app, I was currently sitting at a 22 handicap. It told me that I had a pending handicap of 20.3. When it actually posted, it dropped all the way down to an 18.5. I have no idea why it went that low. But I'm not going to complain. So right now my handicap is an 18.5.
I'm sorry for spoiling that for you, but after you told me that, and I was just like, that low of a round, and I just,
That's because the GIN app loves me and hates you.
Well, good job.
He just pays extra on the app. In-app purchases. Yeah, I know what he's doing.
In-app purchases, lower handicap purchased.
Have you ever seen that meme? It's like, good, glad, I'm happy for you.
Worst episode ever.
All right, so it's time for another worst episode ever. This was a question that I thought of and I posted to Cody, and he thought it was a good one to discuss as well. We're talking about a possible modified rule and what your thoughts are. To make golf more fun for new golfers, should a rule be introduced to allow a drop from a bunker if you're over a specific handicap or if you have no handicap?
So here's why I thought this would be a good question to discuss. And to answer the specific question is I don't think there needs to be an official golf rule. What I do think is that there needs to be maybe an understanding of what, quote, rules of golf you're following when you go. Because I remember when John Paul and I went to a course and it was particularly difficult and we were talking with the clubhouse and we're like, hey, we've never been here and we just want to have a good time. And they said, honestly, don't treat this as like a scoring round. Go out there, and if you hit a bad shot and your buddy hit a better one, drop by him. If you get a really bad lie, give yourself a better lie. He's like, this was a destination golf course. You know, it's something that you're not going to play all the time. So just play for fun. So if you're playing to score a round like we do to try and lower our handicaps, I think those rules need to be in place. If you're just learning, trying to hit out of the bunker in a scoring round is just going to frustrate the heck out of you. And so I think we need to make sure that it's okay for golfers to understand, hey, if you need to kick it out from behind a tree, or if you need to take it out of a bunker because you can't do that, or because it's not what you want to do when you play, and it's just for fun, do it and remove that stigma. Just go out and have fun.
I could not agree more. And I think this boils down to that basic fact. If you're scoring the round and you keep a handicap, then you play by the rules of golf. If you don't keep a handicap and you're just out there to have fun, I don't care. And I don't think anybody else cares. I would rather see a weekend warrior out there having a good time and using the foot wedge every once in a while than taking 900 strokes and slowing everybody down. Just play and have a good time. Just have some fun.
So I think today was a really good example of that, Eric. And I feel so bad for you on that first par 5 because you played a little ping pong again today.
There's a lot of ping pong.
Chipping it over, and you got a really bad break because long on this green, on this par 5, it's if you catch just past the collar, it rolls to the bottom of the hill, and there was just single lone pine tree, and his ball landed underneath the pine tree. And then when he tried chipping it back over, it went back over the green and down the hill. And I think you went back and forth like 3 or 4 times. And you kept an honest score. And I think you said it was a 15 of an honest score.
Yeah.
Now, you have been doing a tremendous job of I could tell you were really frustrated, but you got over it pretty quick. By the time we walked to the next hole and you hit your drive, I thought you handled it tremendously well. So kudos for that. Mm-hmm. But that is a situation to where I think if you're feeling like this is not what I want to do and I'm slipping into that danger zone, it's okay to be like, I don't need to score this round. I'm just going to give myself a better lie and have some fun. I think that's totally acceptable. What do you feel? Eric, you brought up the question. I'm curious your thoughts on if you think that an official rule should be added or, hearing what me and John Paul had to say, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it would be good for an official rule just because, say, for example, you're a new player and you go by yourself on a Saturday, you've got some free time, and you get paired with some guys that are real sticklers that are going to give you a hard time. You could say, well, I have this rule. I am over this handicap. I'm allowed. I don't know. Or you could just ignore the people. I guess it just kind of depends.
I understand, though, because sometimes when you're playing with a group, and to be completely honest, I know that you keep a handicap because John Paul and I do.
Yeah, I wouldn't otherwise.
But it makes it a little bit more fair. Not everything is a competition, but I'm grateful that you do. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to John Paul, even if you don't care, which is kind of weird. But we golf all the time together, and so I think that's a little bit of a different situation. But also because we're not going to go on pro anytime or even any competitions in general, we just don't do that. I use it just as a baseline about how good of a golfer am I. So in those situations where chipping is particularly where you seem to have the most trouble of when you would need a rule like that, I think it's okay to I either call it unplayable or I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace here because I don't want to turn a chance at a 7 into a 15. That's just ridiculous, and it's frustrating for.
Well, I'm fine trying out of a bunker. I mean, I was in a bunker today, and it took 3 strokes to get out, and that was fine. But I feel like if you're a new golfer, there's that whole mentality of get new people into golf. Bunkers are going to be unpleasant because you're getting sand all over yourself. To a new player, that is just going to be the worst possible scenario is getting in a bunker.
I feel like...
I've got to pause, and I've got to tell the story of this bunker shot because I've got to give you props, Eric, in that I would not have handled that as well as you handled that. That was a fried egg lie, unlike any... I mean, it was a magnificent fried egg lie, and I went over and I watched you in that bunker from the side, and you stood up to it, and it was quite deep in a hole, and so he went to go try and nip it, which was awesome, and ended up blading it deeper into the ground. And
twice.
So it dug a hole, and so now it was literally the ball was below level, and then he went after it again. He got it out on the third one, but I am not exaggerating when I say that the hole that he dug in the sand had to be about 10 inches deep to get that ball out.
It was a great shot, too. That third one, when it came out, it just, the first, I feel like when we talked before on a previous episode about that repetition that we need in types of shots, like our chipping or even bunker shots, those are where we don't have those reps in, because that third shot was what you wanted, but it took you 2 misses to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe my stance is when I say that it needs to be more understood or accepted that it's okay to have a different set of rules. Maybe it's more of, here's the official rules of golf, and here's the guidelines for golf.
More like guidelines anyway.
Right?
More like guidelines
and it's
anyway.
maybe like pace of play is something that I know is really important to the USGA, and a lot of local courses push for a specific play time. And we've talked about it's okay to be bad at golf, just be bad faster. Mm-hmm. And I feel like understanding which set of those rules to use to your advantage would really help go a long way.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to you, Eric, you had every right to do a gentle, underhanded, two-handed toss of that sandwich.
Oh, I threw it earlier.
Oh, his sandwich went flying. I don't know if you missed that.
I did miss that.
He threw it back towards his bag, and I just watched it, and I was just like, don't say anything, don't say anything.
Yeah, those clubs.
No, that's true. Your sandwich is not quite as delicate an instrument as the new driver.
And they're several years old at this point.
It does not nearly mean as much. Like, your gentle toss of your driver was more offensive to me than Eric's hammer throw of his
and
wedge.
my wedges altogether cost a sixth of your driver.
I know. It's embarrassing.
Do you have any input, Parker, on this? You're the occasional golfer. I would put you in the weekend warrior stance. You just don't have as much time at this point in your life to go as golfing very often. Do you think a different set of rules, or do you just say, "Oh, screw it, I'm just going to do what I want when I'm on the course"?
I mean, I think it would be helpful. It's kind of, when I go golfing so infrequently, and if there's people behind me, I feel a lot of pressure to kind of play faster, and then feeling that pressure makes it not quite as fun. So if there was something kind of an unofficial guideline, I think that would be good to kind of help take the pressure off and make sure that you have a good time. I'm also an advocate, though, of trying to learn new skills. So hitting out of a bunker, that is a skill that needs to be developed. So I wouldn't want to do that so frequently that I lose out on the opportunity to develop a new skill, because you're going to find yourself in the bunker. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to take an easy out every single time, because then I'm going to miss out on developing that necessary skill.
Well, and again, going back to the pace of play, one thing that's a very common practice in golf that we have as a whole eschewed is the breakfast ball or the mulligan. We don't do that. So if we top one off of the tee box and it rolls 12 yards, we go grab a club and we walk 12 yards down and we count the shot. That's because we are maintaining a handicap, and we consider ourselves serious golfers. I've got no problem with a weekend warrior just dropping a second ball and whacking it. I don't like them taking 5 such shots, but one of them is actually a favor to everyone on the course, because it's going to speed up pace of play. They can grab the 12-yard ball on the way to the next ball. I don't think that hurts anybody as long as they're not keeping a handicap.
And as high as our handicaps are, I feel like those mishits are rare enough that it still doesn't disrupt like our pace of play very often. And, it was a little bit shaky for the first couple of rounds. I think we've gotten significantly better. And the scores for today's round might not reflect that. But, I mean, did you lose any balls today?
Yes.
Which one?
That one that went in the cow pasture.
Oh, just the one?
Yeah.
Okay, and you lost a ball. 3 balls.
3.
I didn't lose any.
In 3 consecutive swings of the club, I'd like to point out.
I didn't lose any balls today. But my point is that last year, this same time, we were probably losing 2 to 3 each on regular holes. I remember
not on every hole.
Not on every hole. But
no, that distinction is reserved for John Paul.
We went bankrupt.
Well, you used to go through a lot more balls more quickly.
Yeah, I did.
And that's progress right there. Even if it's not reflected in your score as a handicap, that's improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was keeping a handicap at that point. And also, it was more, you guys would be like, just take a drop. So it didn't really matter. I didn't really count the score.
Well, and I'll throw this out here because I am grateful when you keep the handicap with us because it is kind of just fun because like, hey, we got our group of handicaps. If you ever feel like in a round that you just don't want to, don't.
Well, I feel like that like every time. I honestly only do it for you.
Oh, I feel so touched.
Yes.
Just to make you feel better about
We
your
feel
handicap.
warm and fuzzy.
Oh my gosh. Do you guys hear that? Listen really closely. Do you hear it?
The water?
Do you hear that in the background?
I hear nothing.
Oh, you thought you had defeated me? That I would wither away like the autumn leaves? Fools! I am the Green Warden. I am rooted in every green,
I hate this
lurking
guy.
just beneath the surface. Every time you chip onto the green, I'll be watching, waiting, knowing you'll slip up sooner or later. I have returned, stronger, greener, and far more vengeful than before. And I didn't come alone. Meet the Water Hazard Wizard.
I hope you brought your floaties, amateurs. Each splash is another ball for my collection. Then it's mine. Forever.
My good friend, the Bunker Beast.
Excuse me, sorry. Sand in my lungs. I'm called Clyde, but you can call me Bunker Beast. Rawr. Anyway, I live for duffs and triple bogeys. My sand trap is your tomb.
And that's not all. From the hills of Heartbreak comes the Dragon of Duffington.
What's this? Another heroic drive sliced into the woods. Did your iron shot only go a piddly few inches? Typical. You'll duff, and I'll laugh.
And haunting the fairways, the one, the only, Fairway Phantom.
You'll feel my presence most just at the peak of your backswing. A slice to the right, a hook to the left. Neither matters to me. You long to hit the ball straight, but that's never going to happen.
And finally, from the darkest corner of the green, the whisper in your backswing, the Pottergeist.
Whenever you stand over a short putt, I'll be there. Casting doubt into your mind. Think you'll 3-putt or 4-putt? Oh no, friend. Forever putt.
We are the guardians of regret, the keepers of the mulligan, the bogeymen of your dreams. You may play around, but you'll never escape us.
Oh my gosh, I can't get over wither away like autumn leaves. It's so fantastic.
Oh, I thought we got rid of that guy, and he brought some friends with him.
Oh my gosh.
The Green Warden is back with a vengeance, and he has brought some additional help this time.
Okay, we got to go over these again. We got the Green Warden. We know the Green Warden.
Don't you worry, my friend John Paul, because
man.
someone gave me a little hint that this was happening. And did you ever play old NES video games? And one of my favorite things from renting a game from the game store.
Did you just ask us if we played old NES video games?
We have played them together.
Okay, growing up, like, I'm going to rent a game from Blockbuster.
Hold it. Are you asking us if we played old NES games while we're growing up? Of course we did.
I did not.
How many games did I ask if you've played? I haven't played that one. Oh, I've never played that one. I've never played that one.
I'll admit I did not. My parents were against video games until I was like 12.
Okay. So one of my favorite things of going to the video game store, the movie store, on the way home, when you have nothing else to do, is to look at the booklet that comes with the game.
Oh, yeah.
You need a manual to understand how to beat the game. They don't do that anymore. Now
I
they
feel like-
they bake tutorials into games now.
Today's children are
Well,
deprived.
and they just kind of let you stumble and find it out for yourself. There's just tons of Easter eggs,
Yeah,
and that's
so
kind of fun.
So you needed a guide back then.
In fact, I was reading one of those retro guides online the other day for, are you ready for this? Excite Bike, and finally learned what turbo does.
Yeah.
I've been playing that game since I was 8.
So I stumbled across these boss battle guides that can act as kind of helping us understand how to defeat each of these bosses this season
Oh, we got to
as
post
we
this.
approach them.
We got to post this on our socials.
And I noticed you used my design again.
I did. It's a great design.
It is a great design.
It's so
We'll have
good.
we'll have to throw it on the socials.
So to give a visual, look on our socials for this, but what I put together was a little kind of like pamphlet style boss battle guide, and I got one for each of us. And on each page is 2 of these bosses with a little short bio for each of them. But most importantly, what we have to do this season in order to defeat that boss. It's probably going to be a season-long campaign. Notice that there are little boxes after each boss. Some things require more than one thing to happen for them to be defeated.
All right, question. Does this include past golf courses starting from this point forward?
Right now. I think the challenge starts right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so can we go through them one at a time?
I think we have to.
Okay, so let's start with the Green Warden. The Green Warden, we won't read all of his bio because he just shared it with us, but basically to defeat him, we have to get up and down 3 times.
In a round.
In
But
one round?
Not one round.
Oh,
I
okay.
just mean practicing up and down doesn't count. Yeah, these have to be
Okay,
ticked off
it has to
in
be
a round.
On the course, in a round, get up and down 3 times. So each time we get up and down, we can take our little golfy pencil and check off one of these 3 boxes, and all 3 boxes means the Green Warden for that season is defeated.
And to clarify, we're considering up and down being off of the green, a chip onto the green, and a putt for par or better. You
Right.
cannot get up and down for bogey or worse.
Okay.
Okay, if you chip in from off the green, does that count?
Technically not an up and down, but we can
I'd accept that because it's a little better.
as long as it's par or better. How about that?
Par
A
or better.
caveat.
Chipping in for par or better. Okay, or up and down.
Or up and down for par or better.
Okay.
Oh, so it has
One-
to be up and down for a par or better?
To be considered an up and down, yeah, it's got to be to save par or like a birdie.
Okay.
Okay.
So one more question on this.
Do you want a weighted adjustment there?
No Texas wedge here, I'm assuming. This has got to be a wedge putter situation.
I think so.
Okay. That
Okay.
seems fair because I think it needs to be done with a wedge in hand.
I'll read the bunker beast.
Yes, please, Eric.
How to defeat the bunker beast. Get up and down from a greenside bunker
How many times do we have to do that?
once.
Because it's very freaking hard.
I mean, the last time I played at a bunker, I hit it 4 times before I got out.
It's true, but we do have the advantage that we golf at a golf course that has this magnificent thing in its bunkers that's called sand.
Yeah, we're not playing over it.
That will make it way easier.
So, but I think we only got to do that. If we get up and down once out of the sand, I think Bunker Beast is defeated. Poor Clyde, he's down.
I mean, I'm thinking that's going to be the tough. That's going to be the tough one.
So the next one I'll read is the Water Hazard Wizard, and to defeat the Water Hazard Wizard, you need to go 3 rounds without losing a ball in the water. There's a caveat here.
Oh yeah.
Our front 9 does not have water to lose a ball in. It does not count.
Correct.
It has to be a round where you could lose a ball in water.
So you have to, clarifying. So I think it's hole 14.
In the back 9?
In the back 9, there's water, but
Absolutely.
you can go around it.
That's fine.
If you go around it, does it still count?
How many times have we mishit it and still hit it in the water? Like that, back 9 rounds
I
absolutely
wasn't
count
sure
for
if
this.
it meant like you have to go for it and get over.
No.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that this can be done any 9 holes, but I think water has to be significantly in play on at least 2 of the 9 holes. So the back 9 at our home course would count because we have the
Par 3.
the
Par 3.
devilish
and
par 3
And then the 14 par 4.
and the 14 par 4.
Absolutely.
Both over water.
The front 9, I do not think counts.
Yeah.
And then that other course down the road that do we just name it?
Yeah, we can name it.
Stansbury.
It's Havel, but that course has water
Everywhere.
everywhere.
And it counts.
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay. Question. Another clarifying question. Do you have to go 3 rounds consecutively?
No, not consecutive.
What about? Do you have to get par on any? Do you have to get so the Green Warden? You have to get par or better. Do we have to do the same thing with all the rest?
I don't think so. I think it's a little bit different. I think for the Bunker Beast, if you take 1 shot out of the bunker and 1 putt, I think it's done. Even if it's maybe for over par.
Okay.
I would consider that because that's still really hard to do.
Yeah, and I think with the Green Warden, the key piece of vocabulary is when we say up and down in the world of golf, that means that we're getting up and down usually for par.
Yeah, I'm just
for the water.
A lot of these don't specify.
Yeah, for the Water Hazard Wizard, I do not think that you have to get par better on the holes with water. I think we're just saying don't lose a hole in water, and there's got to be at least 2 holes on that round where you have a high chance of losing it in the water.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
And if we're waiting to try and get par on my favorite hole on the back 9, it's never going to happen because that hole is freaking impossible. All right.
I love that hole.
Fairway, the Fairway Phantom. To defeat the Fairway Phantom, go 3 rounds without losing a ball, and that's got to be consecutive, I'm assuming. Is that consecutive or just 3 total rounds?
I think
without
it's just
losing a
3
ball?
total rounds.
Are we talking 9-hole rounds or 18-hole
I
rounds?
think we usually only have time for 9-hole rounds.
Okay.
So I would count that. This should be an easier one to do.
5-5.
Should.
Fairway Phantom, you're going down fast.
You lost a ball last round.
I did lose the ball last round.
So
That's
I
fair.
mean, I haven't lost a ball last couple of rounds. And so here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
What if we hit a really wayward shot and it goes OB and we can grab it with the 15, 20-foot stick?
I don't
Is that lost?
No, I think if it's OB, it's lost.
You can still play it, but I would agree that
For this,
for the spirit of the rules.
okay.
And I would say in going with that spirit, okay, so let's say I hit it down in the junk off of the 10th hole. If I find it, I can play it because that's not technically OB, that's a hazard. So if I choose to hit it out of the hazard, then that's fair play. That's not a lost ball. But if I'm on the big long par 5 on the back 9 and I hit it into the cow field, no trespassing, that's clear OB. Even if I can reach it with a stick, I'm still taking a drop for having hit that into the cow field, and I think that's a lost ball even if you find the ball.
For intents and purposes of this challenge, that is, you lost a ball that round, even if you technically got it back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
I agree.
Okay.
The Dragon of Duffington. How to defeat this dragon? Go 2 rounds without duffing or sculling a shot.
This is going to have to be a subjective call if you duffed it or scolded it, but we know.
That's going to be tough for me.
Like duffing it and it goes just a couple of feet, or we skull it and it flies across the green. I know that this is going to be a tough one, but for you, I don't think John Paul and I are immune.
No.
Like,
Now, I hit it thin sometimes. I'm going to say that there's a difference between thinning it and sculling it.
absolutely. That's why I say it's kind of a judgment call.
Yeah.
And the whole idea between these challenges, not only is it fun to kind of put a little video game twist on it, we legitimately should be using these to try and make us be better golfers. And these are objective targets that we can do. If you hit a shot and convince yourself that like, oh, it was just thinned, it was fine. When you really scold it and you still want to mark it off and say you defeated him, that's on you, man. Like you can cheat at golf. You can say you got a better score than you did.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help you become a better golfer.
That's true. It's a gentleman's game.
Wow, I just read the
But everybody
Puttergeist.
can play. Do you like the Puttergeist? I think that's the hardest one.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The Bunker Beast is difficult. So the Puttergeist, have a round with no more than a single 3-putt. Eric and John Paul just threw their guides down. They're like, can't be done.
I've done this, but not in the last couple rounds. Captain Spock has been cold as ice lately.
last year, towards the end of the season, I was rolling it really well. I still would 3-putt once or twice a hole. Well, not once or twice a round, yeah.
So I came up with a lot of these kind of myself and just throw them on you. How do you guys feel about them? Do we need to adjust any?
No, I think the Puttergeist that's you get one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know what we should do? Is let's go to the lousy course down the road. All those greens are flat as a pancake. Easiest 2 putts in the world on that one.
That's the first place that I played a full 18, and it was with Cody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Our greens
like first golf date.
Yep.
Our greens at our course are going to make this tricky because they're not easy.
So, but you think the challenges are fair here, and I made these sized appropriately so these can stay in our golf bags.
Okay.
So that as you go to mark them off, they'll always be available.
Yeah. So if we post this on our socials, we could invite listeners to participate in this challenge with us, and they could chime in if they also clear off their book.
Absolutely. And even if they defeat a beast, I want to know.
And if you do, and you let us know on our socials or contact us through our website, we will maybe make a leaderboard and throw you on.
Yeah.
You bet.
If we ever get those decent stickers, we can send a sticker out your way too. Normally on this podcast, we don't talk a lot about current events just because of how often we record and how often we're able to release episodes. And we don't necessarily talk about sports in particular because a third of us doesn't really follow sports that closely. But I feel like we would be amiss if we didn't at least mention the amazing accomplishment from Rory McIlroy in completing his career Grand Slam and winning the Masters last Sunday.
So is that, I have a question about that because I don't watch sports. Was that in this year that he completed the Grand Slam, like all in one season, or throughout his lifetime?
So it's throughout his career. So
Okay.
the Grand Slam is considered winning every major competition in golf. There's 4 of them. There's the U.S. Open, there's the Open, there's the PGA Championship, and the Masters.
And he's won all of those.
And he has won all of those. Prior to Sunday, last week, he had only won the 3. And he's been chasing that 4th for 11 years to win the Masters.
How many other golfers have done that?
6. He's the 6th.
He's the 6th.
5 have done it.
In history?
In
Yes.
history.
Who are they?
Rory is number 6. Tiger Woods, 25 years ago was when Tiger Woods did it.
Mhm.
It's been
Wow.
25 years. Jack Nicklaus did it in 1966. Gary Player did it in 1965.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Hogan did it in 1953.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene Sarazen, 1935.
Sarazen.
Mm-hmm. Gene Sarazen did it in 1935.
I think that just kind of goes to show you the skill level that Tiger Woods had.
Oh, yeah.
And what he did to the game, the impact that he had to bring all the other golfers up to such a competitive level that it's so hard for other golfers to reach that.
I don't know if anyone's going to do it again.
I'll bet Scotty does it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Scotty will do it.
And if he can get back into shape, Jordan Spieth has a decent shot too.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got, I think, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Is anybody else close?
Bryson will never do it in a trial of a million years. Just want to be clear on that.
Wow.
Is he close?
Well,
he thinks he's closer than he is.
Maybe he is. I don't know.
So
he's going to be.
He's got the U.S. Open. He's got one of the 4.
So we're a little bit off topic from what I wanted to bring up, just to kind of backtrack and explain kind of what the career Grand Slam and how big of a feat it was, which is great. And some of the shots that Rory hit on Sunday were literally the best shots I've ever seen a golfer hit in history of watching golf.
Unbelievable performance.
And I was
I'll need to
watching
watch
him. I'll have to send you the clips because they are amazing. Anyway, he's talking about where he had to hit on number 7 through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just talking about the great detail that he went to and stood up. And he was like, okay, I knew that I had this little gap through the trees and I had to hit with this iron. And he just kind of has this like little smirk on his face. And this was on Reddit. And one of the comments I felt personally called out. And I was like, we have to talk about this, even just for a couple of minutes. it was a comment from DJ Ruby Rod, which is a fantastic username, by the way.
Yes, it is. Ruby Rod.
He said, it's interesting that Rory talks about his shots with the same level of detail as the 28 handicap recounting his round over a pint.
Fair play.
We talk about our golf rounds as if you're like, oh man, remember that shot on 11? And I just stood up and I knew I had to hit it over the water and it was just so great. And I'm so happy that it did. And I don't know. After our rounds, when we're sitting down to dinner and we're recounting our scores, you will often look at me, John Paul, and say like, so what was your favorite shot of the day?
Yeah.
Or what shot do you wish you had back?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Rory does that too. I'm just like Rory.
Yes, we're identical.
We are all just like Rory.
I need a moment to talk about the Masters though, because I'm going to make two bold claims. First of all, I'm going to say that is the single most compelling tournament of golf that I have watched in my life.
I think you can take out the word golf. It was the most compelling tournament in sports.
Unbelievable. My wife was making fun of me because she was trying to have a meeting with people in the other room, and she was like, they were like, "What the heck is the noise on in there?" And she's like, "Oh, that's just my husband watching the Masters." But
Watching golf,
which
most people think is a slow pace.
Oh no,
it used to be back. I don't know, 30 years ago 20 years ago when you'd watch.
I'd put golf on to fall asleep on Sundays for a little afternoon nap.
But it's come a long way.
I had the exact same result though, John Paul, because on Sunday I was in the middle of making dinner, and then when it went to the playoff with Rosie and Rory, I was like, I can't handle this. I don't have time for this. And my blood pressure was boiling. I'm in the kitchen mixing cookies, and I have it on my iPad while I'm like one eye over here and one eye over here. And my wife's like, is it still going? She could care less about watching golf or anything. But it got to the point to where Rory had to hit his putt on 18 after Rosie had missed his putt and bogeyed.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he parred.
He did.
And I just like, everything froze in my household. And my wife was just like, what? And I was like, if Rory makes this, he just won. All of a sudden, like my wife and son are off doing their own thing. They like shifted their attention to my little iPad. So all three of us are just watching this little iPad. And when that putt sank, it was like, I know that you could see the relief wash over Rory. I felt it from where I was across the whole United States.
I'm going to tell you right now, I cried a little. I did. I teared up. And that's weird for me. I'm not an emotional guy.
You say you tear up about things all the time.
My favorite is John Paul and I are having this conversation about how great this sporting event was. And Eric's just like, can't be bothered.
I don't get, no.
I was too busy.
So bold claim number one, best golf tournament, possibly best tournament that I've ever watched. I'm also going to claim on number two that it's the second best Masters in history.
Second.
I'm going to call 2019 the Tiger comeback probably a little more compelling historically than this. I love Rory, and I'm so glad that he took it home, and there's this tremendous sense of relief. But that run by Tiger in 2019 to come back on form, that was, I think a lot of guys would agree with me that'll be hard to beat.
I don't think he's doing that again. I think he's too
done.
broken at this point.
What do you think about?
I don't care. He's amazing.
So having watched Full Swing on Netflix, do you think Rory, now that he's reached that pinnacle, he kind of talked about how he's getting older in terms of golf. Do you think he's considering retirement of any kind?
He says that. Do you know how old he is?
Yeah, he's like 36.
35.
Yeah.
He's younger than us.
I think unless he suffers injury, he's going to be around for a long time. On a side note, talking about age, just huge shout out to Rosie. I was rooting for him. I'm so glad he didn't win because we got the fairy tale ending, but what a class guy. And man, he is tough. He is from a previous generation and he has still got it, man. He was in there. He was made of solid ice during that final round. It was unbelievably good.
I think he won a lot of fans with his composure and the run that he made that tournament.
I'll say, having watched Full Swing, I have a lot more respect for the professional golf career just the way that they focus so solely. It's not just a game to them. They are really focused in, and it's a good show. If you haven't watched it.
Yeah, they made it really interesting to learn about their lives and their background, and you care about them more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if ever you feel like you want to get down on professional golfers and say, oh, that was a choke, or oh, you should have done better on that, just on your weekend round with your buddies on the 18th hole for the final putt, put a $10 bill down on the green for whoever sinks the putt and see what that does to your nerves. See if that makes your hand shake. And then contemplate for a moment that some of these guys are literally putting a putt where the difference between making it and missing it can exceed $1 million. It's unbelievable.
And you know, I don't think that Rory cared about the money. Okay, that sounds stupid. Of course he wants the money from the Masters. He wants the win more.
No, you're totally right. I mean, he doesn't need more money. He has more money than anybody needs.
Some of the guys on tour, though, like, yeah, a missed putt, that was $500,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was literally my whole point of this, is that hearing Rory talk about some of his shots just reminded me of us doing it in the diner after a round, talking about our shots. And we're just professional golf cosplaying. Back to that comment a few episodes ago.
Well, that wraps up another episode of For the Record. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to leave us a review. We would certainly appreciate it. You can also follow us on our socials or reach out to us on our webpage at fortherecord.com. That's FORE, therecord.com. And we hope that you join us next time.